Today, we're talking about why your money keeps disappearing. You make decent income, you're not reckless with spending, but somehow, by the end of the month, there's nothing left. You've tried budgeting apps, cutting back on coffee, even tracking every dollar, but the problem keeps happening. Most financial advice tells you the solution is simple: spend less, save more, track your expenses. The assumption is that you're just not disciplined enough or you're making bad choices. But here's the truth nobody's talking about: your money isn't disappearing because of what you're doing wrong, it's disappearing because of a hidden mathematical equation that's been engineered into our financial system. This equation operates in the background of every transaction you make, and if you don't understand how it works, you'll never escape it. On this channel, we dive deep into the financial systems that keep people trapped. We pull back the curtain on the hidden mechanisms that traditional financial advice completely ignores. Today, I'm breaking down the actual mathematical equation that's working against you. I'm going to show you the three hidden variables in this poverty equation that drain your wealth automatically: the inflation tax, the liquidity trap, and subscription creep. Let's dive in. The first variable in the poverty equation is what I call the inflation tax. Now, you've heard of inflation, but here's what they don't tell you. While overall inflation might be reported at around 3%, the cost of essential categories you can't avoid — healthcare, education, housing — inflate much faster. Healthcare premiums are increasing 7% annually. College tuition grows at 8% per year. And over the past 25 years, hospital costs have increased 275%, while tuition has gone up 196%. These aren't luxuries you can cut, they're necessities that consume a growing share of your income. Let's put real numbers on this. Say you make $50,000 a year. You get a typical 3.5% raise, so now you're earning $51,750. Sounds good, right? You're making more money. But here's the problem. If you have kids in college and you're paying for family health care, those costs went up 7 to 8%, while your salary only increased 3.5%. That gap might seem small, but it compounds. On a $50,000 income, if essential expenses like healthcare and education make up just 30% of your budget, that's $15,000, and they increase 7% instead of 3%, you're losing an extra $600 in purchasing power every single year just on those categories alone. Over a decade, that's $6,000 of invisible wealth that vanished, not because you spent it frivolously, not because you made bad decisions, but because the equation eroded it in the background while you were busy trying to get ahead. This is why you feel like you're running in place financially, like you're working harder every year, but somehow getting nowhere. You're not imagining it, you literally are. The math is working against you on the things you can't avoid paying for. And this is just the first part of the equation, the foundation that everything else builds on. But the inflation tax is actually the obvious part. At least you can see prices going up. The next variable is far more dangerous because it's completely invisible to most people, and it's probably draining more of your money than inflation ever will. The second variable is what I call the liquidity trap. And this one is brilliant from a system design perspective. Here's how it works. Every dollar you earn sits in an account that's connected to apps, cards, and payment systems designed for one singular purpose: frictionless spending. The easier it is to spend money, the more likely you are to spend it. And they've made it really, really easy. Think about your daily life. You have Apple Pay, Google Pay, Tap to Pay cards, one-click purchasing on Amazon, autofill payment information on every website you visit. Your phone literally remembers your credit card so you never have to pull it out. Now compare that to 50 years ago. If someone wanted to buy something, they had to physically go to a store with physical cash. There was friction in the process, time to think, time to reconsider. But now you can spend $500 in 30 seconds without ever seeing money leave your hand, without any psychological pain of purchase. And here's the kicker. Research shows that 58% of people report card payments make them spend the most money. In fact, people are nearly twice as likely to make impulse purchases when using cards versus cash. That's not a small difference. If you spend $3,000 a month and even 20% of that is impulse spending, we're talking about an extra $600 disappearing simply because there's no friction stopping you. Financial institutions know this. Banks, credit card companies, payment processors, they all know that friction prevents spending. That's why they've spent billions of dollars removing every possible barrier between you and your money. Every tap to pay terminal, every saved payment method, every buy now button is designed to keep your money liquid and accessible, because accessible money is spendable money. And this leads directly into the third variable, which takes advantage of this liquidity in the most insidious way possible. Now, here's where it gets really devious, because this next part is designed to make you think you're getting a deal while it slowly bleeds you dry. The third and final variable in the poverty equation is subscription creep. This is the death by a thousand cuts principle. Netflix, Spotify, Disney Plus, gym membership, cloud storage, Amazon Prime, meal kits, app subscriptions, each one marketed as only $9.99 or $14.99 per month. Pocket change, right? But here's the math they don't want you to do. 10 subscriptions averaging $12 each equals $120 a month. That's $1,440 a year. Over 10 years, $14,400 before the price increases that happen like clockwork every year. The real trick, because it's automated, you forget about it. You're not actively choosing to spend that money monthly. It just happens. The money is gone. Research from West Monroe found 100% of people were unaware of their actual subscription spending, averaging $273 per month, while estimating far less. That's nearly $3,300 a year on subscriptions they don't even realize they have. This is the final piece of the poverty equation. Small, recurring, invisible charges adding up to massive wealth transfers. Each charge is too small to trigger your financial alarm bells. $12 here, $15 there. You think, it's just $10, it doesn't matter. But it does. When you combine all three variables, the inflation tax eroding purchasing power on essentials, the liquidity trap making spending unconscious through frictionless payments, and subscription creep bleeding you through automated charges, you get the complete picture of why your money disappears. This is the equation, and it's working against you 24/7. So there you have it, the three-part poverty equation draining your wealth in the background. Variable 1, the inflation tax. Essential costs like healthcare and education increase 7-8% annually, while wages grow 3-4%, creating an invisible wealth transfer that compounds year after year. Variable 2, the liquidity trap. Frictionless spending systems making it psychologically easier to spend, with people nearly doubling impulse purchases when using cards versus cash. Variable 3, subscription creep. Automated recurring charges averaging $273 monthly, with 100% of people unaware of actual spending, adding up to thousands annually. These three variables work together as one equation with one output. Your money disappears. But now that you see the equation, you can solve for a different outcome. For the inflation tax, track your personal spending on essentials separately from discretionary spending. This shows you where money goes and how fast non-negotiable costs grow. For the liquidity trap, create intentional spending friction. Use cash for discretionary purchases, delete saved payment methods, add a 24-hour rule before purchases over $50. For subscription creep, audit every recurring charge today. Cancel anything you don't use at least twice monthly. For everything you keep, set quarterly review reminders. These aren't tips from traditional financial advisors, but they address the hidden math working against you. They're solving the equation, not treating symptoms. If you found this valuable, subscribe, because we're exposing hidden money systems every week. We're pulling back the curtain on what they don't teach in school. Check out other videos on the channel. We're building a complete map of how money really works. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.